Right, so I have finished Chelsea's travel planning website, and now we're going to make sure we've checked all of the finalization boxes. I'm going to walk you really quick through the website and show you how it meets the list on your Savvy Startup system worksheet or workbook, and as well as the website essentials that I talked about in the website overview. If you have all of these things on your website, there's no need to just keep adding sections unless you really feel like it, or unless there's something really key to your business that you want to add. And if you do want to add something, of course, as you're in the builder section, you can always do that by adding a section somewhere and then pulling in from the section options using this drop down. There's so much you can do to add to this website, but while we're getting our business going, we mainly need to set something up for the first year. I mean, this may even last well into 2 to 3 years because it's just working and it covers all of the essential ingredients of a good website. So I've got the navigation where we want it. I don't have anything extra in here that somebody could click that is not done that might be confusing. We have put where the buttons need to link to for the most part. And we can see how we've got her main business tagline, a little supporting copy to describe a little bit more specifically, what she does. Custom Plan Journeys is kind of her priority service. And then we've got the first call to action below the navigation, which is important. All of this works well above the fold that people are going to kind of see right away. So we're keeping it really simple, but we are immediately, doing what we have to do to kind of explain to people, this is the business and you're in the right place. If this is what you're looking for, you can keep scrolling down. We have, because she's a service provider, I do really like to add something personal pretty quickly in cases of product sellers. I don't know that this necessarily would be the very next section that I would recommend. I think you more quickly maybe start showing products, not so much like, personal headshots, but we're going to lean in on service provider for this site. So you immediately get an introduction to Chelsea, and she talks a little bit about her background and her passion. But we're not going to make this a whole blog post right now because we want people to make sure they can get right to our calls to action and see services and see some of the more priority things about her business. There is a CTA right here that does link. And then we've got some, scenic images that have just been popped in that continue to give people the vacation vibes. Right here, I added in a section. It's a plans pricing section option that I found over here in sections that worked great for her priority services. So we're following the 3 services that I mentioned as best practice. And I included, all of these descriptions and little check marks. I really liked how easy this was to put together. And down here, we have these buttons. They don't go anywhere yet, but they could easily be made to go to just her contact page. If you do link to a page section, sorry, that's a section, or link to a site page, that's the whole page. We can just tell them right now while we're, maybe adding forms or something like that, we can just make that go to contact. So you want to make sure as you're finalizing your website that all the buttons go somewhere, because it's really easy to forget to make a button work. Trust me. So for right now, this is not ultimately what we want. We want this probably to go either to a form where people give a little bit more information about themselves, more specific to the service, or I'll show you how they do have a Calendly URL built in, which is nice. So maybe we want this to go to a link that goes to an appointment setter or something like that. There are some options over here in the widgets section that you could use. Here's the form option. Here is where there's a Calendly embed, which I love. There's even an open table. So there's definitely several other options there. But for right now, we're going to make the buttons go to the contact just to make sure they're going somewhere and not just left going nowhere. We've got a little bit of credibility built in here for her. And then this is one of the things that's important to put on a website, especially on the homepage, and to not make people go too far having to dig into this, but steps of service or like a what to expect, and make it very simple. Like, this does not have to get into every detail of every part of your service to people. This just needs to show people, hey, this is how we start. This is kind of what happens in the middle. And then by the end of our service, this is what you're experiencing. Or, you're just going to want to walk through what people can expect so they feel like it's not a mystery when they reach out to you. You want to make it less mysterious. You want to show people, hey, I make it really easy for you to get this service. This is our general, step-by-step process. And yes, you want to boil it down to very high level. Again, I recommend trying not to go over 3 steps, definitely not over 4 steps, if at all possible. And if you need help kind of brainstorming how to boil this down, grab a friend, get into the private Facebook group, and have some people give you some feedback on like how to make this very simple and concise, but also explaining to people, these are the steps that you can recommend, so you kind of know what to be thinking about. Here's where I've used a Calendly embed, and I pulled that over from this widget down here. It basically kind of gives you this one size to work with, and then you put your URL in there when you go to edit it. See how I've put my own Calendly URL as just a placeholder right now. And when I did that, it actually pulled in this link, like some information from this link from Calendly, which is cool. So people can actually come to the website and they can direct book a meeting through your Calendly, which is great. Then here's some testimonials added in for credibility. A CTA, we don't want to go too far without adding some buttons where people are like, okay, I'm convinced, I don't need to go any further on this website, I'm going to do this. You definitely want to give them options as they're scrolling down for that. So we've got CTAs here in services. Then we do a little bit of giving them some information. And then we have another CTA button here that was really easy to add. I just used a call to action section and then basically left the text out and put a button in. That's all I did. And it looks like an extension of this testimonial area, which makes it nice and clean. FAQs, I've talked about FAQs. They're important. They help you with SEO because look at these questions. These are the types of questions people are actually going to put in search. Why should I use a travel planner when I could do the planning myself? You may be annoyed that people are going to ask you that question or a question like this, but put it in your FAQ because it will help you with search optimization. And then put an answer in there that, is like your quick answer. But this is definitely, in the FAQ section, you have some opportunity here to kind of lean in on, okay, what are the burning questions people always have that I get all the time that are even pushback type questions? I'm just going to throw it in the FAQ and maybe it'll actually help people who are asking those questions get to my site. Then we're going to finish here with a way for people to subscribe to her newsletter. You may not want to do that yet. That might not be something that you're, working on too much yet. It's not, in my opinion, super essential, but if you already have stuff to send people, then hey, if you're already sending emails, put this in your website. It's really easy to do. This is just a quick CTA section. And you always want to set it up to tee it up with why would they subscribe to your newsletter or why would they subscribe to your email list? People put stuff like subscribe to my newsletter and That goes nowhere with people. Nobody wants to just subscribe for no apparent reason. You want to give them the reason. So this on this site, we're going to give them the reason of, hey, listen, we're sending travel deals and it goes straight to your inbox. And if you're in travel planning mode, that might be something you're really interested in right now. So cool, subscribe. I would maybe even encourage getting specific about this and saying something like, we drop the most amazing travel deals twice a week in your inbox. Subscribe. That's even more appealing to somebody who's like, I want amazing travel deals twice a week. That sounds pretty good. That doesn't sound too crazy. So you can work with that, but always make this attractive, an attractive reason for people to subscribe. Okay, so I've kind of laid out all of the essential ingredients here on mostly the homepage. And then we've got the contact worked out. So this is very basic. Some of this stuff that you see as you're building is not going to show up on the preview. So let's go back to a couple things that we want to make sure we have as we're finalizing that are a little bit sneaky. Let's see. We want to look at the very bottom. The footer is a sneaky spot, so make sure you don't ignore it. I actually already updated this to mention her business name. It's going to have something random with the template in there. So, you're going to want to look all the way through the site to make sure something from the template didn't pull over and you forgot to change it. All rights reserved is just a standard language. Privacy policy. We're going to make sure we have that privacy policy in there. I demonstrated this when I did the lead pages lesson for the digital downloads as well. But what I had to do on this template, they did not include a privacy policy page for that to link to. So I actually had to add a page. And what I did is I just clicked this little plus sign, add new page, and then you pick the page type. Well, there wasn't, that I saw, a privacy policy page type. So I just put a blank page in there and it basically gave me just a wide open page, which you'll see. And I wanted to keep it hidden from navigation. So I made sure in the page settings, when I did this, I clicked hide from navigation. This just means it doesn't go up to that top menu. It's a little weird. Most sites don't put like privacy policy right at the top menu. So you're just going to want to hide that. You're not going to want to mark it as draft after you've published. So make sure you don't do that. There's an opportunity here to add SEO, like with all of the pages on the site. So let me show you what I did for this. That link basically just opens up this basic, very plain page of text. I kind of made up this privacy policy on the fly, but I've said this before, you do need this. It's smart to put it in right away so you don't forget about it later. And to run paid ads on Google, they make you use a privacy policy, and potentially even on Facebook too. So that's a sneaky thing we want to make sure we have covered. Some people even have like terms and conditions sections. The only thing that I know for sure you need, especially to run ads, is a privacy policy, but you could even add terms and conditions to this same page so that you feel like you have yourself covered. And again, I'm not an expert in that area of the legality. So you probably, as you're writing the language for this, you might want to do a little research or look at, big company sites. Those will give you some kind of inspiration around, okay, what goes on these and why are they important? So that's a big one. We talk about SEO in a couple other lessons, but here in every single page settings, you're going to want to go in and make sure you've added the SEO. We've talked about what kinds of language to use for SEO. Page titles, again, I am going to say you're going to want to make these fresh. Don't make every page title the same thing. So this could be like Vanacore Adventures, travel planning says aim to keep this under 70. We're at 35 right now. So I'm actually going to kind of try to fill it out. Travel planning experts, like that's something that would be fine for search. Travel planning, I really like, as you're starting out as a service provider, especially just sticking with local geography terms, because that narrows down search a lot, which means everybody across the whole country or world, you know, when they're searching, oftentimes they're searching for people local, or if they find you and you're local, then you might, get a little bit more of an advantage. So I'm going to actually put in Charlotte and see here. So that actually increases SEO because we're talking about actually a local service provider. Even though she wants to probably travel plan for anybody, this helps build the audience. So we're not going to be too broad or general. So SEO page description, welcome to Vanacore Adventures, custom So here's where we're going to get an opportunity. Between 50 and 160 characters is what they say. We're going to try to fill up that whole 160. Custom travel planning, vacations for, let's lean into personalized European trips. Now, I know that she doesn't only do customized European trips, but this is where we need to get specific. And you're going to use these SEO sections to highlight different aspects of your business. So that's why I'm doing that here. Get your next European vacation planned. Let's see. For 2024, putting dates in also is fantastic for SEO because people actually use a lot of like dates and deadlines and stuff, especially for something like a vacation that they're planning. I might even update this a little bit. So I might actually edit myself and put get your 2024 European vacation, or I might even, because I used European up here, I might even decide to use get your 2024 trip to Venice, Italy, planned by us, something like that. So you're just going to want to think about, okay, what are the main things that I need to put in this SEO description, and then get it close to 160. Keywords you can pull from the list that we made when we talked about brand messaging. And yeah, so you're going to want to go through and do SEO like this in every possible opportunity. Every page setting has an opportunity for that. You can go ahead and do it even if the page is in draft, because if you at some point publish that page, then it can immediately start working for you for SEO. I'm going to go in and do the same thing with the privacy policy. And then I'm going to go on every single page using this, and every image, I'm going to make sure I have put some SEO in the image. So here's the name of the SEO. Let's see, 2024 honeymoon vacation to Bali. So what you can do here, even with a stock image, you can name it something that is relatable to your audience. So this might not be a honeymooner in Bali, but that's okay because you're naming it something that in SEO is going to pull up and actually lead to your site that's relevant to your audience and what they are looking for. It's an opportunity, again, for search engine optimization. And then you're going to use the alt text to say something very similar. This might be like picturesque image of woman on a honeymoon in Bali. So again, I am adding SEO terms anywhere that I possibly can. And one thing you do want to do with images is you want to make it actually relevant to the image. You don't want to put something in here super random, because if people are searching and this pops up and it's like a totally random statement, then it's just going to be weird and a turnoff. So I do recommend sticking with the vibe of the image. All right, so we're going to get out of here where we have our little image gallery, and we're going to do the same thing wherever there's a photo. So there's a photo here, and we can't edit SEO in sections. So that's something that you're not going to have to worry about doing, but we've got photos here that we can put SEO terms behind. And that's it for here. I do have a little section I left in from the template with social links. You can link that to a personal social account if you want, if you don't have a business one set up. Or it could be a placeholder for the future. If you're not really planning on setting up a social, any social accounts for a while, then you can just delete that. So it can go either way. But I left that in there as just an example of what you could add later. Again, I am recommending you don't get into social media until you've got this system set up and you've worked on those first leads and you have everything ready to help those leads buy. And then you start getting more leads with social media. Contact page is built out. We've got an image here, an opportunity for SEO, and that's going to be it for the contact page. Okay, so now we're going to preview the site and we're going to check the links. This is very important. I even recommend having somebody like a spouse or a friend check your links also once you publish this on your domain. So here's the homepage. We're going to go down it. We're going to make sure it is going to the right place. Okay, so I made a pop-up. This was really easy to do again, and a lot of these links are going to go to this little easy pop-up form, and that's going to get people to either the contact page, that one goes to the contact page, or that pop-up form that I made. These, of course, we already know are going to the contact page, but we're going to check them just in case, just to make sure. Never hurts. So here's our steps. There's no CTAs there. It actually probably would be a good idea to put some buttons here before the next page or piece. This goes to that form. This goes to the newsletter. We're going to want to make sure we put in an email there. When I touch it, okay, when I click it, it actually goes to contact. So we know that we need to go back and make sure we add our newsletter link, email link to this space down here. So we're going to do that. We're going to make sure the privacy policy works. Look at that. It did not go to the privacy policy. So this is why we check links. We will inevitably have something that we forgot to link somewhere. Okay, so then we're going to want to check this contact us form and make sure it goes to the right place. And then we're also going to want to check this book now. While we are in preview, we're definitely going to want to check the mobile look. It's not as imperative to check the tablet because people generally don't use tablets that much to do, you know, stuff online, maybe more for kids, but mobile is for sure something that we're going to want to check. We're going to want to go through and make sure everything lays out the right way on mobile. A lot of times it'll look a lot different on mobile depending on the platform you use. Lead Pages is pretty much acing this right now. There's nothing that looks like in the wrong place or off center or too weird. And this does not give you the mobile look that everybody's going to see across every type of phone. So if it looks really great in the mobile preview and you look at it on somebody's phone, maybe your own phone, and it doesn't look the same, that is very normal. We're going to want to make sure this little menu opens up to the right place. And all right, so we checked our mobile. You don't have to recheck buttons. They should work the same as on desktop. If you want to recheck, you can. All right, so we checked our mobile look. We're going to exit that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to publish it to the domain. So we are all set to go back to our dashboard and make sure we, let's see, it'll let me. Make sure we go to our connecting a domain here. And Lead Pages is great. It's going to walk you through it. They will give you a custom site or that they're just going to host on their own Lead Pages site that is a little funky looking. It's not going to look like a very professional domain, but it does work. I'm using that for my digital download site that I built on here. Once you connect an existing domain, you're going to want to use that for your website. So that is the whole list to finalize your website. You'll connect the domain, and then you will publish it, and your domain should go straight there. If you have difficulty figuring out how to connect your domain, then whoever is providing your domain usually is going to have a tutorial or something, some way to show you exactly how to put the domain in a web builder. Lead Pages will probably for sure have that help for you. So I would start there if you have trouble, but most of the time they're going to walk you through it. And if you have not purchased a domain, but you have your website ready, then I recommend publishing it on that Lead Pages domain that they offer and having all of those checks done, and then going and buying from GoDaddy a domain. I think you can actually do that through Lead Pages. They will give you an option to just go ahead and find a domain. If at all possible, stick with a .com. It's a lot easier for people to remember, and people will default to .com. So if you end up with like a .org or something like that, it's a little less likely that people are going to find you because they're going to forget that it's a .org. And it's just one more thing they have to remember. So I would recommend using a .com. And then you're going to be published, your website's going to be set up, and now you can move on and do the other pieces of your system.